Welcome, 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 friends, to the next episode in Trust series here at Uncomplicating Business. I am Sarah Torpy. I am the creator of Selling for Weirdos and a business coach and do all the things that I make people have this conversation about trust with me. And we've been doing it on the podcast all season. We're going to keep doing it. And so, what we are shifting into at this point in the podcast season is conversations about trust because the conversations matter. Today, I brought one of my favorite people to have this conversation with, and somebody I have been talking about this with for many, many years. My dear friend Barb Hubbard. She is a time management coach. She is an ADHD specialist. She runs a coaching business that she has had since 2018, but she started out like you and I did, teaching kids and supporting parents and seeing space to do something different for adults and for other people out in the world and sort of changing gears. What she is really good at is helping people move step by step by step by step by tiny step by tiny step by tiny step towards accomplishing all the things. Not all at once, though, because you can't accomplish all the thing all at once, and that's what she's going to tell you. She does the focus thing really well. She helps you navigate the big projects without drowning in them. God bless. Barb Hubbard, I'm so happy to have you here today.
Thank you. I am so happy to be here.
Yay. So what we are going to start with is really just your initial thoughts on trust and how you define it. Like, how do you define trust? What does it mean to you in yourself, in your work, in your business today? Talk to me about, the where do we start?
Oh, it's such a broad topic. That was a big question.
Sorry.
Trust. Yeah. You know what? It is broad, and yet it comes down to like the simple act of knowing that who you are and what you do is going to be the right thing. And it's the decisions that you make about your business in life are going to be the right decisions, and that the people who come your way in your life are going to be the right people. And you may not always know why you're making those decisions or why those people are showing up, but you trust that it's all in a grand plan.
Mm. Well, and that you don't get to hold the plan.
Yes, exactly.
And
I wish
actually what
I
you
could
said
hold all the
before we hit
plan.
record a couple of minutes ago, I'm gonna tell them it's like trust is one of these topics where it's like you need to think about it and you need to work on this, but no thank you. May
Yeah,
I choose something else, please?
exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
So, you know, what has learning, I know because we have worked together that for you and for everyone, and I am in this too, this has been a journey of learning, right? And that there is learning that has happened around trusting yourself and around trusting your business. And those things have happened in parallel, but they're not the same. So,
Mm,
can you talk to me a little bit about learning to trust yourself? Because what you said a minute ago was about trusting decisions, and that's really like a self-trust thing, right?
it is. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, trusting myself was probably the hardest piece for me
Mm,
because I have for probably most of my life trusted outside of myself. I see the path that led me to where I'm at and like, oh yeah, I'm here for a reason. And so that piece was easier, but trusting myself is so much about uh, believing in myself. It's about confidence. It's about self-worth. There's so many pieces to that. But trusting myself has allowed me to kind of raise my expectations of myself in a way and say, oh yeah, I can do this. Like
mm.
I don't have to stay small because I can trust myself to do big things. I don't have to question everything. I don't have to overthink things. Now, that's not, I totally do question everything and totally do
Same.
overthink everything. But like the trust, when I lean into trust, I remember that I don't have to. I can just go with that decision or I can go with, whatever pops into my head.
Well, and I think that that's an interesting distinction, right? Like, it doesn't mean the questioning doesn't go away. It
Right.
doesn't mean that the spinning doesn't go away. It means that you notice it and you're like, oh, there it is again. Let
Mhm.
me go back to trust.
Yeah. And for me, it's very much a red flag
Mm,
that I need to slow down, that I need to get back to some, I call them my healthy habits. I need to go for more walks. I need to journal more. I need to read more. I need to tap more because I'm an EFT tapping practitioner. So, like all of that, it's a red. When I start overthinking, when I start questioning, when I start spinning, that, then I need to go back to those things because they help regulate me and remind me, oh, yeah, I can trust myself.
well, and it's like getting regrounded, right? Like, that's how I think about it.
Yeah,
It's like refinding that overthinking isn't that you're doing something wrong, it's that you sort of lost your center a little bit.
yeah, 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 yeah. And I don't see it as something that I was doing wrong. It's more of a, yeah, exactly that. I've just lost my center. I lost my way a little bit. I got too wrapped up in all the possibilities and all
Mm.
the, you know, chaos of
Options. So
life.
many options.
Yeah,
Well, but I
yeah.
do think people start to overthink or they question or they doubt and they see it like a stop sign.
Yes. And yeah, and it's not a stop sign. I think a bit more as a fork in the road, like go this
Mm.
way instead.
Hmm. So, how is learning to trust your business different from learning to trust yourself?
So I actually think that they are so intertwined that it's hard for me to distinguish one
Mm.
versus the other because I see myself as my business in many
Hmm.
ways. But trusting my business is uh, it adds another layer of trusting the people I work with, trusting that the right clients are gonna show up, um, trusting that my business is exactly where it needs to be right now, which is hard when you have a million ideas of where you want it to go.
Oh my God.
You're
Like
like,
that one is like
yeah,
I want to like hang that on a bullseye and shoot arrows at it
yeah,
maybe, like trusting that I'm right where I'm meant to be right now in my business and that it's the pace it's meant to be and like whoa, and that it doesn't need to look like everybody else's. That is
yeah, yeah, yeah.
big.
It is big, and it's I when it's easier to just do all the things and throw spaghetti at the wall and try this, try that, and so in many ways it's easier to trust yourself and trust your business and say, okay, well, this is what I'm doing right now, and I'm gonna stick with it for a while and see how it pans. That's hard,
Mm-hmm.
like really, really
Well,
hard.
because it takes focus and like the word in one of my groups for coaching this round has been discipline, but not in like a mean way, but in
Yeah.
that like useful way.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes, you're right. I think it is easy to be like, change spaghetti, new
Yeah.
pasta shape. Let me
Yeah.
make elbows this time, right?
Yeah.
Like, and keep throwing different things and thinking and just sort of loosely letting them go and assuming none of them was going to work because you didn't stick hard enough to any of them to let them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is tricky. But
Yeah.
that matters. Like we have talked over the years about like, okay, can this be the focus for a year or 6 months? And every time I do that to myself too, and I'm like, oh no.
A full year. Ah,
Right. It
how
feels
am
like
I ever going to do that?
forever, right?
Yeah.
Forever. You're like, oh no. I have a client right now she's not allowed to touch her LinkedIn profile for a full year
I love it.
because she loves to change the words on it as if it's like Candy Crush. She's like,
Yeah.
just gonna Jenga these words a little differently. Like, stop touching it. You have agreed that you're not gonna touch this for a year. And she's like, oh
I did the
no.
same thing with my website, where like I have to stop touching this. Like
Hmm.
it is fine just the way it is. I have to trust that it's reaching the right people and the words are great the way they are. And yeah, but it's
Yeah.
not. I still want to go in and tweak things and change things.
But it's not like that's the thing. The thing I always end up trusting is like having to come back to trust in is, my job as the business owner is to do the things that I know make the most difference. And while I enjoy playing with the words on my website, those are not the things making the most difference.
Right, right, right. Yeah, yeah.
And I have to be as much trust as I put in my business, I have to act like I'm worthy of trust from my business, like that it gets to trust that I am choosing,
Oh,
right? Like I
yeah,
have to
yeah.
behave in a trustworthy way to my business by
Mm-hmm.
not like just picking the things that are less scary.
Right, right. Oh, that's really interesting. I'm going to
Right.
be thinking about that because
Uh-oh.
it's like your business is in many ways this separate entity, and trust goes both ways. And
Yeah.
so it will thrive if you trust it to do its thing, right? You trust your website to do its thing. You trust your LinkedIn profile to do its thing. You trust all your systems to do their thing.
Yeah, and then I have to behave in a way that allows them to trust me, right? Like, but I
Yeah.
really, where you have them sort of intertwined in your head, I have had to actively separate them because
Mm-hmm.
for me, it feels much better to think of my business as like a thing I hold in my hand that I
Mm,
offer
okay.
people,
Yeah.
right? My offers, the things that I do, because then, like, really, essentially, it boils down to then if somebody tells me no, they're telling me no to this thing. They're not telling Sarah's a bad person.
Oh, right, right, right.
Like
Okay.
it's so like I
Yeah,
separating them
yeah,
has really helped me
sure.
trust that this thing I'm giving people is worth it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been really interesting. So tell me, what when you are acting with trust
Mm-hmm.
in business, you were talking about healthy habits and you were talking about red flags. Talk to me more about that. Like what have you learned about what works for you versus what works for everybody else? Because you see clients and what works for you doesn't necessarily work for them
Sure. Yeah.
that help you lean into trust and stay there.
Mm-hmm. Journaling.
Mm.
Journaling is a massive one for me. And you had written a post a year or two, three ago, and it was when I journal, my business has more success.
I make more money when I journal. I tell
Yeah.
people that all the
Yeah.
time. I
Yeah.
make more money because I journal,
And
which is why I
and
do it.
and that post hit me like, oh, really? And I almost was like, well, I'm going to prove you wrong, Sarah. I'm pretty sure
I
that
dare
was in
you.
my mind. I'm going to journal every day and show you that it doesn't matter. But what happened was the same thing. I started journaling. I had more success, right? I made more money. And when I'd get busy, always one of the first things to drop off is journaling, which
Hmm.
is crazy because it takes less than 10 minutes, but it is one of the first things that always falls away. And I found the same pattern. And I'll throw in reading, and it's
Mm.
not even necessarily reading, business books or even self-help books. It's any book. Like I
Yep.
can now I'm all into fiction because I need an escape. And so
Oh, we should
so
trade books before we go because I read a lot of trash, like just absolute trash. I can't read
yeah.
nonfiction anymore. My brain is too busy during the day. And
Yeah.
I always have a book
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
two. Like right now, I am no joke in the midst of two and one I'm rereading, which is
Yeah.
all trash, all
Right.
absolute fiction. There's murders,
Right.
there's romance, there's dragons, there's everything. It's amazing.
Right. And it doesn't matter. Like though, if I am reading and journaling, then I am leaning more into trust. And I
Mm,
think it's about, I think it's about stepping away from my business, getting out of my own head.
mhm.
And journaling, you're very much in your head, but it's
Well, but it
concrete.
is making what's in your head visible, which I think
Yes,
really
yes,
matters. It's like
yes,
seeing
yeah,
your own bullshit.
yes, yes, yeah. So those things. The third one I'll add is writing down my wins, my celebrations. And the reason that works so well is because it's evidence. I call it my evidence list. It is evidence that I can trust myself. I can trust my business because look at all the great stuff that's happening, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And sometimes my celebrations are very small, but it doesn't matter to me. Other people will be like, well, you didn't finish that. How can you count that as a celebration? And I'm like, well, it's a celebration that you started. It's a
Like,
celebration when you make progress on
hell
it.
yeah, like everything counts. Nobody cares how much
Everything
you won the
counts.
game by.
Yeah,
They just care
yeah,
that you
yeah,
won.
exactly.
So how often do you do that? Tell people.
Uh, the celebration
Wins.
wins. I do it minimum weekly.
Okay.
Sometimes I do it more often, but I have kind of a running list in my planner. And so if I'm kind of having one of those days where I'm not feeling so great, I might start a list right then and there.
Yep.
I always do it when I sit down to look at the week ahead or
Mm.
on Friday. Sometimes I plan the week ahead on Fridays. So on the, end of the week, I'm writing down what went well that week. But it's minimum once a week.
Yeah. It's interesting right now. I do it once a week. I do it on Mondays
Mhm.
because it helps me like settle into my week.
Yeah.
And but I also grabbed a practice from a friend who has like you do three things every day and then you like make a bigger list once a week and
Okay.
capture learning and like how you took care of yourself. And so
Okay.
I've been doing that. And sometimes my wins on my wins list are like everyone ate dinner.
Yeah.
Like everyone ate dinner
Yeah.
out of
Yeah.
food that was already in my house,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Sometimes it's I opened that tab and
yeah,
it like sometimes that's all it is. But I am a big believer that like the hurdle of getting started is often just that first action. And so opening up MailChimp, opening up, LinkedIn, even if you don't create the post, but you opened it, you
yeah,
looked at it,
yep.
right? Sometimes my wins are that tiny and they're tiny in the sense that it seems so small, but they are huge in my head and for my motivation and for trusting myself that, yeah,
Well, and they're small in like time, but
right,
monumental
right.
in
Yeah,
impact, right?
exactly.
Like the impact is huge. Like yesterday, I have to write a blog for someone else in April, and I have been like, let me tell you when I've been dancing around this blog for like a month.
Yeah.
I realized yesterday that my problem is not the blog, it was deciding the topic.
Yeah, there
And
you
I
are.
wrote down four options in my list, and now I'm like, oh, I know what I'm gonna write. And all like it literally was just deciding. I
Right.
was
And
like, oh,
30 seconds of your time saying, here are some things I could talk
yeah.
about.
I was like, oh, like I have been avoiding it for a full on month. It is
Right. So
absolutely
I
best.
would put that on my list of
Hell
wins.
yeah.
I started. I wrote down the options, or I figured out what was holding me back. Sometimes
Yes,
I
because
did.
even that's a win, right? It's like knowing when all of a sudden I realized it was just I had to decide a topic, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
rats. So talk to me about a big challenge and trust you feel like you navigated and overcame. Like I know to put a few words in your mouth for you. I know one of the ones that has been harder for you is trust with time.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd love to hear, I think that's really useful for people to hear about because
Sure.
time is such a large looming thing for so many people. So can
It
you
is.
talk about trust and
Yeah.
time with us?
I, there's so many pieces of this I could talk about, but I will say that I struggle with the idea that I will be overly busy
Mm,
and that will lead to health concerns. It'll lead to not prioritizing myself, not prioritizing my family. And so it was a tough one for me to move past,
mm,
right? And I think when we first started working together, that was like, I'm going to be too busy. I'm going to get overwhelmed, which was all about time.
hmm
Um, So one of the biggest pieces that I had to figure out for myself was trusting that my business is working for me, even when I am not actively working on my or in my business.
Mm,
Um, because and it is, and I have all the wins that I have written down to prove to myself. So whenever I question it, whenever the trust is like, well, I don't know about that, right?
it's
I
the like, are you doing enough? Couldn't you
yeah,
be
yeah,
doing more?
yeah.
Couldn't you be doing more? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And so so all the evidence is there. But I had to actively say, okay, I trust that these are the things that are most important to do this week or in this day, and do them and be done and
Mm,
away, which is really, really hard. Even it's something I think about almost every day. Even today, I think my day ends relatively early, like 2 p.m. or something like that. And I thought, oh, there's extra time to do more. And then I realized, like, I catch myself now. I'm like, no, 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 no. I have my list of what I need to get done this week.
yeah.
It's all going to be done by 2 p.m. And then I have plenty of other things in my life that I need to work on right now. So I need to be done and move on.
Yeah.
And that's, it's trusting that the time I spend is the right amount of time. It's trusting that there will always be enough time to get done what I need to get done. Yeah, there's so many
Well, and I
factors.
think it's also the like, I think one of the big shifts for you was from things are going to get busy and I'm going to get overwhelmed to I'm always going to have enough space to take care of what comes my way.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? It's this like it's like a closed box model to like an open, spacious sort of like there's
Mhm.
always space. I always figured it out.
Mhm.
Right? There's always room to manage it. And I know, and you know how to say no, and you know how to space people out, and you know how to say, I don't have room for this right now.
Yeah.
And that you will when you need to.
Yeah.
And sort of having that shift, I think, made such a difference.
Yeah. Yeah. It absolutely did. Yeah. Yeah, I will have the time when I need the time.
Yeah. And the people come as they're supposed to. Like you keep saying like the right people will come the right. And I know people sometimes have a reaction to right,
Uh,
right?
yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think it's really like the people that I'm meant to help will be here.
Yes. Yes.
The
I,
it's all working as it's supposed
yeah.
to. It's sort of the trust in like the thing I think all the time is whatever I picked to do was the thing I was meant to do.
Mhm.
Like that
Yeah.
it's about right because you can't possibly choose wrong,
Right. Correct. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm finishing up my EFT tapping practitioner
Yep.
stuff right now. I will
Love it.
probably be certified by the time this podcast is
Yeah.
released. And I knew that this was something I wanted to do 5 years ago, maybe
Hmm.
more. And and so there was a part of me that kind of beat myself up, like, why didn't I do it sooner? Because I love it and it fits right in, and it's just adds so much joy to and benefit to my business. And then along the way, I'm like, I was never ready.
Mm,
I was never ready to do it. Those 5 years of waiting, part of it was about time, right? There were other things I needed to put in place for my business before I could take this on. Part of it was about um, just like being ready in terms of um, like feeling that knowing what I offer to people and trusting myself and
hmm.
what I do. But when I think about it that way, like it all happened exactly as it should. And for the longest time, it was about, well, I don't have time. I don't have time. I don't have time. And that was kind of what I was telling myself, but it wasn't really, I wasn't ready yet. It wasn't
Well,
really,
it's the difference between I don't have time and it's not time.
Yes, yes,
right?
yes.
Like it's not time. Sometimes it's just
Right.
not time. I
Yeah.
tell people that all the time. It's like, you know what? When that is meant to work, it will,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
And
Like the,
when it was the right time, I reached out to somebody and said, who did you do your training with? And she told me their names. And the only virtual offer they had for the whole year last year was 3 weeks away. And I was, it is the right time now.
today is the day.
Today
Well, and
is it.
that's, you
Right.
know, it's interesting to me. Like I talk with people all the time that go to create things.
Mhm.
They're like, I just
Mhm.
can't figure out how this goes together.
Mhm.
And it's like, then, let it be for a little bit. Like I feel like that way about my course. Selling for weirdos, like I knew at some point I would have a course and I didn't know what it was and I didn't know what it was and it felt bad and then one day it was like, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
It just wasn't time until all of a sudden it was time. And I was like, oh, it's time now. Hi.
Yeah.
Hello.
Well, and we can choose to beat ourselves up over not getting it done, right? Like I didn't start this training when I first had this idea. You didn't create your course when you first had. You
No.
can beat yourself up over all of that, or you can trust that the time will be right and you will recognize when the time is right.
Yeah. Well, and that is so much, I think the act of trust allows so much what you just said is being kinder to yourself
Yes. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
there's so much less guilt if you're just trusting the timeline
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
because the other option sucks, quite honestly.
It does.
And I don't
It
really want to
does.
do that one. That sounds
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah. I don't either. I don't either.
So, what do you think the role of trust in success is for you?
I think that I need trust in order to have success. I need to trust in all of the things, in myself, in my business, and the timing to have success.
Mm,
And like back to what we just said, right? When I am questioning everything and overthinking everything and beating myself up and unkind to myself over everything, then I don't have success, at least not at the level that I want it and not
mm,
with the joy that I want to
mhm.
have it, right? Like I think we can have success and it can feel, not, it can feel icky.
Well, it's
We,
like, have you ever woken up halfway through the night and been like, man, I was working really hard to sleep.
yeah,
I've
yes.
been really working at this sleep thing.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been pushing it up the mountain with
Yeah.
me. It's sort of like that.
Yeah.
It's the like, man, I'm doing this and yay, success, but what the heck?
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
hard, but the trusting version is much lighter
It
and much
is.
more
It,
spacious and it feels
yeah.
kind of crazy.
Yeah. I want to say it makes success easier, and I believe that, but at the same time, it is not easy to trust, right? So but
Yeah.
when you can trust success, when I trust myself, when I trust my business, when I trust in timing, success comes to me in an easy way.
I think it's the difference between my daughter is a competitive rock climber, as you know. And right now, the gym she goes to, one of the main roads to get there is blocked off
Oh,
because there was a whole building fire thing and it's been blocked off for like a month. It's great. But to get to the gym now, there are two ways, right? And one is two turns, and one is like 643 turns. And I cannot tolerate it. It is so complicated. And I think it might be a little faster, but I cannot. I just cannot. And it's at like 7 o'clock at night and I can't do it. And she laughs at me and she's like, Dad goes the other way. And I'm like, well, because Dad's just following his map. I cannot tolerate the number of turns. And so it's sort of that in some ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
Success when you trust yourself is just less complex.
Mhm.
I don't know if it's easier, but it's less complicated for friggin' sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It is. Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know if you feel this way, but when I decided to trust myself, and the other piece was being open to receive.
Mm,
Piece for me,
hmm.
which is related, right? It's like a cousin of trust.
You're gonna have to say more about that in a second, but finish this thought.
Yeah. But when I decided to trust, I don't know, like it just opened up whole new worlds. It opened up so much, and it just is more fun. It
Yeah.
brings more joy.
So we
So
are gonna take a little side trip to the cousin over here because you
yeah,
mentioned it. One of the things we have long talked about is, you and I are both givers, right? Like this podcast is for the givers. And when we give big, the thing that balances that is being willing to also receive. And that's so hard because what we
that was
receive is money and
oh,
compliments and all the
yeah,
things. And you're
yeah.
like scoochy in your chair right now,
I
even just
am.
having this
Yeah.
conversation. So talk to me about openness to receive, because that
Ooh,
is a kind of trust. It's
it is.
trusting
Yeah.
yourself to receive as well as give. And people really like to give, but receiving is a whole messy kind of thing.
It is. It is. I will never forget the coaching that you gave me on this one day. You, at some point, you said, I have just asked you about receiving in 10 different ways. And you were pushing me to acknowledge it, basically.
Mm,
And it was a game changer for me. That moment was a game changer for me because no matter how you said it, I was just pushing it. No, no, not going to think about it, Sarah. I'm not going to talk about this. And and when I did, though, when I acknowledged, yep, you're right. I do struggle with receiving. That was it opened up a whole new path for me of like, okay, I need to work on this. I need to figure this out. But it's the receiving piece for me is related to trust the it's about trusting the universe. That
mm.
it's about trusting in my worth that I can receive, that I not willing, but I'm
Worthy.
open and worthy. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
And
And
when we talk about receiving, what are you receiving?
I am so I because I'm so structured. I have 5 categories.
See, this is why she's on, friends.
I have 5 categories of receiving that I track, and it turns out that in many ways they are my celebrations. That they are,
Mm,
uh,
go figure.
yeah. So one category is about receiving compliments,
Mm,
friendship, love, acts of kindness in the world. Like, somebody offers to buy you coffee, and you just say thank you and receive that.
hmm.
That's one category. And within business, it often is just compliments or testimonials or those kinds of things. Another category is inspiration,
Mm,
like receiving new ideas, new thoughts, and I get them from podcasts, I get them from my clients, I get them, all over, but it's just inspiration. Those two I receive every single week, all the time. I just had to stop and notice them and
yeah.
be open to saying thank you without anymore,
Without
right?
trying to like shove it back at someone.
Exactly. Yeah. Or the whole thank you, but, and
Mm,
then, right, like I just being able to say thank you. So a third category is new clients, money. It's all about money, new clients, people coming my way, paying me for something.
yeah.
Uh, and that one shows up way more than I thought it would. But I had to be open to it. I had to be worthy of it.
Well, and
Um,
you were worthy all along. You just weren't sure
yeah,
you were.
exactly. Yeah, I
Hmm.
had to own my expertise,
Hmm.
which is something you helped me work on as well, right?
Mm,
That piece of knowing that what I offer is valuable and
hell yeah.
yeah, without the
Yeah.
but.
She's like, but.
It is. So that's 3. So another category is new connections,
Mm,
which
yeah.
also shows up just about every week. And that is without me searching for them. They
Yeah.
just show up in my life, right? And sometimes it's followers on a social media platform, but most often it is somebody connecting me, somebody referring me. They reach out via email or a message
Yep,
and say, you need to know this person. So
I've
receiving
done
that,
it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I've done
Those
it.
happen just about every week as well. And then I have to look at my list because now I can't remember the fifth category.
Well,
The
and it
last,
is that
yeah,
like once the saying is I forget how it goes. It's like you pay attention to what you're tracking, right?
yes,
You're
yeah,
tracking receiving and you're paying attention to what you receive.
yeah, yeah. So the
And it
last,
doesn't make you a terrible person, PS. Just saying.
it does not. It does not. It really brings more joy into your life because you're like, oh, look at that. The
Yes.
last one is speaking or teaching opportunities.
Which
And
have come out of the woodwork.
yeah, yeah. When I looked back at 2024 and counted them up, it was
Mhm.
24 different things. 24, so I'm averaging two a month, and I'm still averaging two a month this year.
Well,
So
and would 2018 Barb even recognize her?
no, 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 no.
No, 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 no.
Totally different person. I have friends who knew me then who will say to me, you are so different in a good way, but you are
Yeah,
so good. Yeah,
but just it's such a different level of ownership and trust.
yeah, yeah.
So the last question I'm going to ask you is if there is one thing you want people to walk away and think about
Mm,
around trust, what is it?
it's a practice.
Mm,
Practice it. It's not like flip a switch and suddenly you trust everything about yourself and your
damn it.
life. Yeah, I wish. Right. But it's like a muscle. You have to think about it. You have to, listen to stuff on it, about it, read about it, journal about it. You kind of have to work at it and it ebbs and it flows and evolves, but it's a
Well,
practice.
and it's sort of like the question I think you're asking people is like, what is your practice?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And
Because you
everybody,
have developed yours. You're a great example of a developed and continuing to evolve practice of trust. Like
yeah.
I have my practices that help me, but it's like, what do your practices look like? And
Yeah.
just like we work out or don't in my case right now, um, I walk an 11-month-old puppy and I feel like that counts.
Work out. It counts.
Dear God, she's a whole vibe. She's great, but wow. Um, but it's, you know, we get better at what we practice,
Mhm.
right? And if you practice anything, it's this one
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's
Because
the
this is
most worth
what
it of the
leads
bunch.
to everything else. This is what leads to everything else. And
It's
I will,
like the on-ramp.
yeah, yeah. And I will add that everybody's practice will look different and you got to figure out what works for you,
Yep.
right? Some people meditate. I'm not a meditator. Like I've tried, I still try, but that's not part of my practice right now. Maybe it will be, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's different. Everybody's going to have different components and methods. Some people love to track stuff like I do, like you do.
Um, well, it's what's interesting is I have become a meditator, but I find that 90% of the time I have to be in motion.
Yeah, yes, I can do it when I'm in motion.
I have to be in motion. I have to be walking.
I do too. Yeah,
And I am not a great sit and meditator. Sometimes I am, but not often.
yeah,
I'm excellent at laying in bed in the morning and meditating, but that never happens. Um, but being in
like,
motion makes such a difference for me.
yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
everybody's just going to be different. Everybody's going to have their different ways to connect to that trust and think about it without overthinking about it. And
Well, but what matters is you're connecting to it somewhere
yeah,
because it really is that big of a difference maker. So, um, I love you and you can't duck this. So tell people what you offer and how they come find you. Like make them some offers, Miss Barb Hubbard.
awesome. Thank you. So I offer coaching, I offer EFT tapping, and I offer groups for people who are struggling to get started on stuff, whether that's some big dream that they have or just cleaning out the closet. And I have a free quiz on my website where you can figure out what might be preventing you from getting started, and I have hacks there to support you, get you going. And I also have my book.
I was
So
gonna
my book,
say,
yeah,
come on.
that leads to my book. Yeah.
Yeah.
Quit chasing squirrels and start chasing your dreams.
Yes, the squirrels. And there's a squirrel. There are squirrels. There's a squirrel in your little background right now if you're watching this on
Yes.
YouTube.
Yes.
Um, the squirrel. You posted something a few weeks ago about like which kind of squirrel are you right now? And there were all these different kinds of squirrel pictures. And my daughter picked out two that were so diametrically opposed. And she's like, I'm both of these. And I was like, one was like a squirrel laying flat on its face, and the other was a squirrel like singing. And she was like, I am 5 and 8. And I was like, ha, never
How?
mind. I'm just gonna let you go do you. She was like, did you tell her? And I was like, yeah, I did.
Yeah. And I had the same question, like, how did those two
Ow.
come together? I want to get in her brain and
Oh
understand
no, no, we
more.
don't. It's a whole thing in there. It's a whole interesting place. So I will make sure, friends, that all of the links to Barb are findable in the notes. Those are easy to get to. Please go follow her around because she is smart and thoughtful and really, really good at what she does in all of the ways, including the tapping, which today she's certified in because this is recorded. Um, and it is a delight. She likes to connect people. I like to connect people. If you are not in my world, which is in Facebook, is Uncomplicating Business for Teachers, Helpers, and Givers, please come join us on Facebook. Please come follow all the places. Please, if you're ready for coaching and you want to trust some things more, come on over. Let's talk about it. I can drag you to receiving too. Even though we don't always like it. I had a client the other day tell me she liked me, but not today. Um, which people say to me, and I'm
Yeah.
still okay with it. Barb Hubbard, thank you so much. You are my favorite. I'm so delighted to get to talk to you.
Thank you. You are my favorite. I love talking to you, listening to you, seeing you in all the places. So thank you.
Yay. All right, friends, we'll talk in 2 weeks.